This morning's Bhagavatam class. It's Monday. It's the 21st of July, 2025, and we are reading from the Amal Puran, Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satphala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya, Sarva Lokaika Drukprada. This Srimad Bhagavatam, which we're reading from this morning, is the conclusion of all scriptures. It is the crest jewel of all spiritual knowledge. And it is the essence of the Vedas. All planetary systems are worshipping this Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam. Sanatana Goswami prays like that. He says, Mad eka bandhu, mad sangin, mad guru, mad mahadhana, mad nishtaraka, mad bhagya, mad ananda namostute. My only friend, my only well-wisher, my guru, my savior, my wealth, and my source of bliss. I offer my respectful obeisances to you. So before we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll just recite Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So today's verse, we're reading from the fourth canto, is it? Fourth canto, 22nd chapter, titled Pṛthu Mahārāja's meeting with the four Kumāras. So every morning we read Srimad Bhagavatam here in the temple. From 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock before we have Prasad Seva, taking Sri Shivada Gopinath's delicious prasadam. Best prasadam in Sydney, or maybe in Australia. But before that, we feed our minds with spiritual knowledge. And so recently we've been going through the pastimes of Pṛthu Mahārāja. This is a Shakti-avesh avatar of Krishna. Shakti-avesh means it's someone who has been empowered with a particular potency of the Supreme Lord. So there are Shvangsha and Vibhinangsha expansions of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Actually, everything is emanating from the Supreme Lord. All of the material and spiritual energies come from the Lord. So in a sense, because Krishna and his potencies are non-different, we can say everything is Krishna. But we're not impersonalists, and we don't just stop there, because that's kind of boring. It's much more interesting to engage with the variegated flavors of the spiritual world, which is the various potencies of the Lord. When we can try to understand this inconceivable tattva of the unlimited potencies, which Krishna is full with all of these different opulences, transcendental and material, which emanate from him. So therefore they're all actually spiritual. But if we can try to understand these potencies, then our relationship with that supreme divinity, which is eternal, can become more rich and filled with rasa, right, flavor. So Swamsha and Vibhinamsha. Swamsha means it is Swa-amsha. It's his own, it's his self, his own part. Vibhinamsha is a separated part. So there are three potencies which we try to understand, just to categorize it in a simple form. There's the Antaranga Shakti, the Bahiranga Shakti, and the Tatashta Shakti. The Antaranga Shakti is the internal potency of Krishna. The Tatashta Shakti is the marginal potency of Krishna. And the Bahiranga Shakti is the external. So the external is like dead matter, right? It doesn't have any life in it. the internal potency is that spiritual potency. It is purely blissful, full of knowledge, and it is eternal. Dead matter is, always decaying. If it doesn't have life in it, that spark of life, it's decaying. So the Tatashta Shakti, which Tatashta is like the middle, right, the intermediate, that's us. That's the living entities. So a Vibhinamsha expansion of Krishna is a separated limb or a separated part of Krishna. Prabhupada gives the example, Srila Prabhupada explains that we have hair, right? We have nails, all of these things growing from our body, but when they get too long, they separate from our body. Like that, it's one with us, but it's also separate from us. It becomes separate. So like that, these separated parts of Krishna, Vibhinamsha, expansions, they are called the Jiva Tattva. So they are conscious and they are eternal. Krishna says to Arjuna on the battle of Kurukshetra, on the battlefield, that never was there a time that I did not exist, nor you, nor all of these kings. So that means that Krishna is eternal, and every single expansion of Krishna, every Swangsha and Vibhinamsha expansion, every Jiva is eternal. So we are eternal, which is crazy to think about. But like that, one living entity can be empowered with the Shakti of the Supreme Lord if they become qualified to act on His behalf. We'll talk more about this. Sorry, this was meant to be just a quick recap before we go into the purport, but just sort of got caught up in the philosophy all of a sudden. But yeah, like that. This is Pṛthu Mahārāja. He's a living being, a jiva, who has been empowered by a particular potency of the Lord. What is that potency? Does anyone know? The English, at least? Yeah, to govern. He's the perfect leader, right? The perfect king. And so what does a king do? He protects the citizens, right? If you come between the king and his citizens, the consciousness of the citizens, the well-being of his citizens, then the king is required to punish you. So that is the duty of a king, is to look after the consciousness, the welfare of his citizens. And Pṛthu Mahārāja he's like the archetypal leader, because he is empowered by Krishna with that particular Shakti. Because Krishna is the fullness of all qualities. He has everything in perfection. So Krishna is the supreme leader. He is the supreme king. He rules all spiritual and material worlds. We'll talk more about this later. I keep getting sidetracked. But like that, Pṛthu Mahārāja is a Shakti Avesh avatar who has been empowered with the potency to protect his citizens and set the example of the dharmic leader. So we've been hearing some of his past times. We might not have time to go into all of them. We've been reading recently, but that's basically where we're up to. So we're hearing about Pṛthu Mahārāja, his glorious qualities. And in this chapter, he is welcoming 4 saintly people into his home. And he is demonstrating to us how a dharmic, a religious person would navigate that situation, right? 4 very, very exalted personalities come into your life all of a sudden. How are you supposed to act? I don't have much experience with that. I never was taught how to deal with exalted Vaishnavas. I was taught how to, cause a ruckus with my school friends. That's basically it. So when we study these books, we get qualified. We get given qualification so that we can receive mercy from Vaishnavas. So it's a very, very important chapter, and we can learn a lot, and we can get a lot of mercy out of this chapter. So that's enough of me talking. I'll quickly now get into the verse. Sorry about that. Sorry? So we'll read from verse 12 today. Please repeat after me. Swagatang vo dvijasreshta yadvratani mumukshavaha charanti shradhayadhira bala eva brahanti cha Swagatam vo dvijashreshta yadvritani mumukshavaha charanti shraddhaya dhira balaeva brahanti cha. Swagatam vo dvijashreshta yadvritani mumukshavaha charanti shraddhaya dhira balaeva brahanti cha. Yadvritani mumukshavaha charanti shraddhaya dhira balaeva brahanti cha. Swagatam vo dvijashreshta yadvritani mumukshavaha shraddhanti shraddhaya dhira balaeva brahanti cha. Swagatam vo dvijashreshta yadvritani mumukshavaha charanti shraddhaya dhira balaeva brahanti cha. Swagatam vo dvijashreshta yadvritani mumukshavaha charanti shraddhaya dhira balaeva brahanti cha. Swagatam vo dvijashreshta yadvritani mumukshavaha charanti shraddhaya dhira balaeva brahanti cha. Swagatam vo dvijashreshta yadvritani mumukshavaha charanti shraddhaya dhira balaeva brahanti cha. Do you want to try? Yeah. Swagatam vo dvijashreshta yadvritani mumukshavaha charanti shraddhaya dhira balaeva brahanti cha. Okay, so we'll go through word for word translation. This is a translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Suagatam, welcome, vaha, unto you, dvijashreshtaha, the best of the brāhmaṇas, yat, whose, vritani, vows, mumukshavaha, of persons desiring liberation, charanti, behave, shraddhaya, with great faith, dhiraha, controlled, balaha, boys, eva, like, brihanti, observe, cha, also. Translation, please repeat after me. Mahārāja Pṛthu offered his welcome to the four Kumāras, addressing them as the best of the brāhmaṇas. He welcomed them saying, from the beginning of your birth, you strictly observed the vows of celibacy. And although you are experienced in the path of liberation, you are keeping yourselves just like small children. Purport. The specific importance of the Kumāras is that they were brahmacharis, living the life of celibacy from birth. They kept themselves as small children, about 4 or 5 years old, because by growing into youth, one's senses sometimes become disturbed and celibacy becomes difficult. The Kumāras therefore purposefully remain children, because in a child's life, the senses are never disturbed by sex. This is the significance of the life of the Kumāras, and as such, Mahārāja Pṛthu addressed them as the best of the brāhmaṇas. Not only were the Kumāras born of the best brāhmana, Lord Brahma, but they are addressed herein as Dvija Shreshta, the best of the brāhmanas, on account of their being Vaishnavas also. As we have already explained, they have their sampradaya, disciplic succession, and even to date the sampradaya is being maintained and is known as the Nimbarka Sampradaya. Out of the 4 sampradayas of the Vaishnavacharyas, the Nimbarka Sampradaya is one. Mahārāja Pṛthu specifically appreciated the position of the Kumāras because they maintained the brahmacharya vow from the very beginning of their birth. Mahārāja Pṛthu, however, expressed his great appreciation of Vaishnavism by addressing the Kumāras as Vaishnav Shrestha. In other words, everyone should offer respect to a Vaishnav without considering his source of birth. Vaishnave jati buddhihi. No one should consider a Vaishnav in terms of birth. The Vaishnav is always the best of the brāhmanas, and as such, one should offer all respects to a Vaishnav, not only as a brāhmana, but as the best of the brāhmanas. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, we'll recite the Mangala Charan. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyaham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganar Gunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswata Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavari Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai. Okay. Hare Krishna. I just quickly request the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas today and everyone watching online. I don't quite have the potency to say anything, interesting or spiritually meaningful, but if you bless me, then maybe I can say the right thing at the right time. I can please my spiritual master, and I can be purified in this process. Thank you for engaging me in your service. So we're discussing today Pṛthu Mahārāja, as we mentioned. We spoke a little bit about who he is, what is a Shakti Avesh avatar, what is his role, what is he demonstrating to us in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we're trying to learn the ideal characteristics of a leader. And as a leader, Pṛthu Mahārāja is now showing us this quality of humility, this quality of respect for one's seniors. And in so doing, he is demonstrating, he is even, making it clear who is a senior. So Prabhupada is explaining in the purport here that he is calling the 4 Kumāras Dvija Shrestha, the best of the brāhmaṇas. So it's said that of all species of life, there are some with 4 legs, some with wings, some with no legs, but there are some who walk on 2 legs, and they have intelligence. They've been given this opportunity to question atato brahma jigyasa, who am I? What is the meaning of life? Why am I here? What am I doing? So of all species of life, this particular species, the human, is very, very, is topmost in that sense. It's the best opportunity if it's used properly. So of all humans, then, it's said that one who is living in a society where varnashram dharma is being practiced, they are the topmost. Varnashrama dharma refers to the system, the Vedic system of civilization, which is 4 varnas and four ashrams. So the 4 varnas are the the kshatriyas, brahmanas, vaishyas, and shudras, right? So Pṛthu Mahārāja, he is a kshatriya. The 4 Kumāras are brahmanas, right? And then the vaishyas are like the mercantile class. So they do agriculture. They run businesses maybe in modern society, like that. And the shudras are the laborer class. So very, very important. It's referred to, they're sometimes compared to different limbs of the body. So the brahmanas are like the head, or even like the mouth, because we offer food to the brahmanas, sacrifice, worship, charity, and that by feeding the brahmanas we feed the mouth of Lord Vishnu. Also they are using their intelligence to go deep into spiritual gyan, tattva gyan, and then by serving those brahmanas we receive their blessings, so that tattva gyan, that spiritual knowledge, is received and is given to all of society. So that's how they serve society. So you can see there's like a hierarchy in a sense. It's a very functional thing, but at the same time everyone is serving the body. So it's not like the top class gets to just like oppress the lower classes because they have this privilege. That is actually where the caste system went wrong in history. So the brahmanas, they are serving society by performing their dharma, their duty. The kshatriyas are compared to the arms. They are like they do the tasks. They protect the body, and they make sure that everything else is doing its proper duty. And then the vaishyas are compared to the stomach, because they provide all of the food for society, all of the functionality. So like that, they are like the stomach, and the shudras are compared to the legs, and they keep the whole thing up. Actually, imagine if you just took away the head, you'd be pretty in a sticky situation without a head. But if you took away the arms as well, what would you do? You can't eat. If you took away the stomach, you can't eat. And if you took away the legs, similarly, you'd be completely dependent on everyone else to get around, to get anything done. So all of these limbs are very, very important. And so a human living in a society which follows this varnashram dharma, which doesn't disregard these specific duties allocated to specific kinds of consciousness, right? Everyone is naturally in one specific varna. So a society which acknowledges that and supports that and encourages that, so that people can flourish in their natural duties. And a society which also operates under the 4 ashrams. So for the first 25 years of life, people are trained up in spiritual life, right? So we're sent to the Gurukul to learn from the spiritual master, rather than learning about how to enjoy our senses for the first 25 years. We learn how to serve the Supreme Lord's senses, so that we can be self-controlled, and so that when we enter into grahastha life for the next 25 years, it's not about putting down others and achieving as much wealth as possible so that I can keep this body alive as long as possible, to enjoy my senses for as long as possible, and then at the end die with so much anxiety and stress the whole way through. Instead, we've learned to control our senses and we've learned to become servants so that we can achieve fulfillment and happiness, which is long-lasting. So then we move into the Vanaprastha age as well, which is the next 25 years after Grahastha life. And that is where, because of our spiritual training, we are able to let go of our family attachments, which is a requirement if you're going to move on from this body to the next chapter. So in Vanaprastha life, the parents, they start to move away from the family and not go on a tour of the world, all of the nicest cities for eating nice Italian pizza, going to the beach in I don't know, somewhere else, but for going to holy places of pilgrimage. So they travel around and they seek out holy places of pilgrimage to get blessings so that they can further advance in their spiritual life. And then in the last 25 years, they take sannyas, they go to the forest, they perform severe austerities, and they give up all of their possessions, their name, their clothing, everything, and they just become complete mendicants and complete their journey in this material world. So a society which follows these principles is a human in that society is the topmost of those humans. And then it's said that a human in Vedic society who is a brāhmana is the topmost, is the most fortunate of that society. Because a brāhmana, they have gone through enough purification of their consciousness in previous births that now they are qualified to study the scriptures. And one who's studying the scriptures, naturally they receive knowledge. And with knowledge comes renunciation, and with renunciation becomes advancement in spiritual life. And that is how we establish our relationship with Krishna. So one who is a brāhmana, one who is studying the scriptures, is the most advanced in a society which is following Varnashrama Dharma. But still further it is said that of those humans living in Varnashram Dharma, who are qualified brahmanas, studying the scriptures, of those, one who understands, who realizes the meaning of the Vedas is the topmost. So this is a real twice-born brahmana, a dvija, dvijana, right? Twice-born brahmana, someone who has become actually qualified, not just by birth, but has received the proper training and has integrated that knowledge into their consciousness. They are a twice-born brahmana. And so of twice-born brahmanas, finally it is explained that one who has understood Vedaischa sarvairaham eva vedyo vedanta krid veda chideva videva chaham. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna is the compiler of all the Vedas, and by him only can the Vedas be known, and that he himself is the conclusion of the Vedas. What does it mean that Krishna is the conclusion of the Vedas? Is it like you just read it and eventually you just read the last word is Krishna? Is that the conclusion of the Vedas? What does it mean that Krishna is the conclusion of the Vedas? Yeah, Jai. Okay, Sagar Prabhu nicely explained that for Krishna to be the conclusion of the Vedas means that we have to understand who he is and what our relationship with him is. So what has to be done in this life to establish that relationship or to... Yeah, right. So he's saying that although we all have naturally a relationship with Krishna already, understanding that Krishna is the conclusion of the Vedas means learning how to establish or reawaken that dormant relationship, right? Which is the goal of human life. So someone who has understood that has understood the conclusion of the Vedas. Not that if I perform this fruitive activity, if I perform this Kamarakanda sacrifice, I can go to a heavenly planet where I can live longer and have senses that don't deteriorate and enjoy. Here Prabhupada is explaining that the Kumāras are very, very exalted because they are brahmacharis in the sense that they have been self-controlled. They have not engaged in sexual desire. Sex life is not just about, the act of intercourse. It's explained, smaranam kirtanam kelihi, prekshanam guhyabhasanam, sankalpo javasayascha, kriya nivrittirevacha. That actually sex life, whether you're a grahastha or a brahmachari, all of us are supposed to be brahmacharis actually. We're all supposed to be controlling that urge, that natural, vegam is like an urge, a wave that, pushes through the body like a sneeze actually. Like, when you have to sneeze and there's nothing really you can do to stop it. Once the sneeze is coming, you just have to say, bless me after that, excuse me. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegan, udaro pashta vegam, etan vegan, yoveshaheta diraha, sarvamapimam, pritivim sashishriyat. That there are all these different vegams, these different urges that we've accrued through lives and lives of trying to enjoy our senses separately from Krishna. The first of which is the urge to speak, which is an interesting one. Like often we're kind of encouraged that we should be speaking more. I remember in high school I was a bit like of an introvert. I didn't talk too much. And, people find that weird, it's like, say something, say something interesting at least, say something funny, I don't know. So we were encouraged all the time, speak. As soon as there's a silence, everyone gets really uncomfortable. Right? Should I keep talking? So we all have this natural urge to speak. The question is, what should we speak about? Vacho vegam. So this urge to speak, how can we make it spiritual? Manasa krodha vegam. This urge of the mind to get agitated, angry. It's a very difficult one when when you feel so justified in your anger as well. Someone does something wrong to you. And if I don't get angry at them right now, they won't know what they did wrong. So there's this urge there. Sometimes if we just sit with it and we let it calm, we can realize that actually, I'm so glad I didn't act on that. There's so many better ways to deal with the situation. So manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, the tongue, jiva. It said that the tongue, the belly, and the genitals are all connected in a straight line. So if one can control the tongue, what's that? What's sevan mukhe hi jivadho? That devotional service begins with the tongue. Actually, just by chanting and taking prasad. So by now talking, hearing Krishna Katha, and then immediately after taking Sri Sri Radha Gopinath's nectarian prasadam, our tongues become spiritualized, right? And when we spiritualize our tongue, naturally the stomach becomes spiritualized and the genitals can be controlled as well. Whether you're a grahastha, a brahmachari, male, female, doesn't matter. This is really important for advancing in spiritual life. So it's explained that the brahmacharis are very exalted because from birth, smaranam kirtanam kelihi, sex life is not just about that final act, the fourth regulative principle, right? The one that everyone struggles with. It starts from smaranam, remembering the opposite sex. Not just remembering them in a neutral way, but remembering them with that desire to enjoy. Objectification. Turning Krishna's energy into something for me to enjoy. Right? So smaranam is the beginning of sex life actually. Then it moves on to kirtanam, talking about the opposite gender. Kelihi, dallying with them, staying near them. More than required. Prekshanam, looking at them with the desire to enjoy, right? Our eyes are always looking for something beautiful to enjoy. But right here we have Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, and so we're so fortunate that all of our senses can be engaged in devotional service. The tongue we already spoke about, the belly we spoke about. Just by looking at the deities, His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu explains that material beauty agitates the mind and induces one to enjoy, induces one into material consciousness. Spiritual beauty, right? Krishna is karshati, what is it? Krishna is, right, all attractive. So Krishna is spiritually beautiful. He is the most beautiful. When we look at something which is spiritually beautiful, it pacifies the mind. Sometimes we come here at 7:15 in the morning, right? And we have so many anxieties. We've got a whole day of to-dos ahead of us. We had a terrible sleep last night. And the last thing we did before bed was, eat a lot of really, really nice food, and now our body's all like, So we come before the deities and we're like, oh man, Krishna's going to see me in this state. What am I going to do? Like, I don't want to look at him when I've got so many negative thoughts in my mind. But as soon as the curtains open, all of that just like floods away, disappears. And I think everyone's experienced that at least once. So like that spiritual beauty pacifies the mind and it induces one to serve. It's just the opposite of material beauty. So like that, we can spiritualize our senses by even, if we're not in the temple, if it's a long way to go. If we can train our minds, if we can look at pictures of Radha Gopinath every day, imprint that beautiful object of our vision in our minds, if we make a genuine endeavor to do that, then it is very easy to remember Krishna. Like we said, it starts with smaranam. So if we can just remember the lotus feet of Krishna during the day, or when we notice our mind is just getting a little bit agitated, we can just pause and we can just remember Krishna's beautiful smile. Or what clothes, what colored clothes are the deities wearing today, Radha Gopinath. So like that, we can spiritualize all of these senses, and we can, as brahmacharis, grahastas, anyone in Vedic society, or anyone even in Kali Yuga, if we can follow this process given to us by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, then we can become the best of the brāhmaṇas. We can become Vaishnavas, not just by wearing tilak and kuntimala, and shaving our head. There's a verse I heard in one lecture from the Padyavali, which is really nice. It says, not by wearing saffron cloth, not by shaving one's head, not by performing all kinds of austerities, not by controlling one's diet, not by all of these different methods that we come up with, can one be free from lust. So what are we doing? What are we doing? What else is there? He says, just by developing the tiniest iota of attachment for the lotus feet of Govinda, can one become free from this lust. And that should be the desire of everyone, right? Everyone's seeking pure love, right? The only real happiness, the only eternal, sustainable thing, which is Krishna Prem. The reason we're all here, right? Anyone who's seeking that, whether you're a grahasta or a brahmachari, we need to understand that. So, like that, Pṛthu Mahārāja, he is glorifying the Kumāras for these reasons. He is not just saying that because they are small children and because they have controlled their sex desire that they are glorified. It's not just because they are brahmacharis, right? As is said in the Padyavali, it's not just by wearing saffron cloth, it's not just by shaving your head, that you become qualified. Certainly not. It is by becoming a Vaishnava, which means developing love for Krishna. So how do we develop love for Krishna? That should be the logical next question, right? Does anyone have any ideas how to develop love for Krishna?
By chanting.
Right, Ravi Shankar Prabhu said by chanting. What do we chant? What do we chant? The Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Is that the right one? No. Jai. Yeah, we can chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra any time of the day, any place. That is the mercy of Kali Yuga, right? Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam. Kalau nasteva, 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 gati ranyata. Right? 3 times it's emphasized that in Kali Yuga, there is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way than chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. The holy name of Lord Hari. The holy name of Lord Hari. Yeah. So just by chanting, again, we're engaging our tongue, we're engaging our ear, we're engaging our mind, we're engaging all of that in remembering Krishna. So naturally, you're moving your attention, your senses away from material things, which, as we said, they induce us to enjoy material consciousness, and we're moving it towards a spiritual thing which induces us to serve and pacifies our mind as well. Like, why wouldn't you want to do it, you know? You experience it again and again, how blissful it is to be Krishna conscious, yet we keep turning back towards that thing which again and again it shows us is full of suffering. Why do we keep doing it? So, okay, chanting Hare Krishna, we can develop love. Any other ideas? Because I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 4 years now, and I don't think I have developed so much love yet. I guess there's like trying to chant Hare Krishna, and then there's like actually chanting Hare Krishna. So how can we speed up this process and start actually chanting Hare Krishna? What can we do? Like who? Right, if we can find a real devotee, a Vaishnava, as Pṛthu Mahārāja is saying, right, the best of the brāhmaṇas. If we can find a Vaishnava and associate with them, as Ravi Shankar Prabhu was saying, someone like Ravi Shankar Prabhu, if you can find someone like that, then maybe you can start chanting Hare Krishna properly. Actually, it's said that the holy name of the Lord is never, it is always fully transcendental, it is always pure, always perfect. Even someone who chants the holy name mockingly. Apparently there's a video game you can play. I think it's GTA, right? Grand Theft Auto. I'm not telling you to go and play Grand Theft Auto, but apparently there's one version where, when Hare Krishnas were always out on the streets in their saffron robes, causing a ruckus, developed like a name for themselves. So someone who made this game put these Hare Krishnas on the street, and you're driving a car, right? You've stolen the Grand Theft Auto, you've stolen this car, and you're trying to get away from the cops. And that's the game, right? It's fun to break the law like that, apparently. So they're driving along and they run over these Hare Krishnas. And every time you run over a Hare Krishna, they chant like Haribol or Hare Krishna, Gauranga. Is it Gauranga? Wow, they chant Gauranga! Like that. Just by trying to kill a Hare Krishna in a video game, you can get purified. Because the holy name is pure. It is completely absolute and transcendental, and it is non-different from Krishna. It's such a beautiful thing to try and remember that truth when we're chanting, that this is Krishna himself. Every time I'm just saying the word Krishna, Krishna is present. Because I was just reading, who was it was saying? In the Hamsa Guhya prayer, so Prajapati Daksha, when he takes his second birth, recently we read about this pastime between Daksha and Lord Shiva. He commits an offense against Lord Shiva, so his head gets chopped off and replaced with a goat's head. Right, so this is like the progenitor of the material universe, one of the progenitors. He has a very exalted position, and now he has a goat's head. So he's very, very, ashamed for his offense. So he gives up his life and he takes another birth. And then in this birth, he's repentant, and he's advancing in spiritual knowledge. And so he offers these Hamsa Guhya prayers, and he explains, when I was reading it, it sounded quite impersonal. He was saying that I offer my respectful obeisances to that Supreme Lord, who, just as the senses, the sense objects can't perceive the senses which are interacting with them, right? So this what's this called? This table thing is not able to perceive that my hands are touching it and feeling it, or that my eyes are looking at it, right? In the same way, my eyes aren't able to perceive the mind which is receiving that input. So Prajapati Daksha is saying that Supreme Lord, right, who is imperceivable to the mind and senses, to the material mind and senses, I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Right, so Krishna is invisible in that sense. He is as Paramatma, he is behind the soul. He is witnessing everything that we think and we do, as the loving friend, the witness in the heart, Sufradam Sarva Bhutanam, Hrideshe Janatishthati. Yeah. Gatva Mam Shantim. What is it? I can't remember. But like that, yeah, Krishna he's offering his obeisances to Krishna in that particular sense. And he even says that Supreme Lord who has no name. And when I read that, I was really confused, because our whole process is about chanting the holy name. and that we're always trying to remember Krishna's name. If we can remember the name of the Lord all throughout the day, we will never fall into this material consciousness. We will always be blissful, peaceful, and filled with devotional service. So how can Krishna have no names? What does that mean? How can Krishna have no name? We just said the name Krishna. What does it mean for Krishna to have no name? What is a name? What is a name? To denote something, right? A name, is like a sign. It like points you towards something, right? Like when you're a kid, someone will be like, chair. This is called a chair. So now every time you see something that looks like a chair, your mind goes, bzz, chair. That's a chair. I know what that is. Right? But you don't know what it is. You just remember the sound that the person said, and you said, that's that sound. Right? So a sound is something which denotes another thing. But it is completely fickle. It's in the mind. It's constructed by the material mind. So that, in that sense, we can't call Krishna, we can't say Krishna is called this. Like we can't put a name on Krishna because he is completely inconceivable. He is infinite. He is everything. Everything emanates from him, and yet he is completely detached and aloof from everything, right? He is transcendental to everything. So he is everything and he is beyond everything. So how can we put a name on that infinite, inconceivable truth? Right? How can we confine it to one thing? Well, let's explain that because Krishna is absolute, his name is absolute, right? The Isha Upanishad describes this really nicely. If you take one part away from the absolute, this is absolute and this remains absolute. They are both the complete whole still. So Krishna is non-different from his name means that he actually has no name. Because when we say Krishna's name, we are saying Krishna himself. He is present on our tongues. So, like that, when we chant Hare Krishna, we are not just remembering Krishna, but we're associating with him. Ravi Shankar Prabhu nicely said that we develop love by associating with Vaishnavas. Association doesn't just mean coming to the temple and, doing our thing here in the temple. And I mean, that's good if you can do that. But association also means remembering, and desiring to serve and following the instructions of those people. That is association. Association is intimate. If you just come and like stand in the area of the temple and then you go outside and you hug the persons who are doing all kinds of material activities, right? Unspiritual activities. And you're hugging them, you're joking with them, you're revealing, your deepest secrets to them. And then you come to the temple every so often and you think, all right, now I'll associate with devotees. And you sort of just stand here, from a distance, politely, put your hands together when you see a devotee. And that's it. That's all you ever do. That's not association. Association means developing a deep attachment for the Vaishnavas, serving the Vaishnavas, revealing our minds to the Vaishnavas, giving gifts to the Vaishnavas, receiving, taking prasadam. Often we offer prasad to people and they, I don't know, sometimes there's just like something stopping you from being willing to receive prasadam. Actually, it's service to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath to accept their remnants, right? This prasadam that we'll be taking in 5 or 10 minutes. So like that, we can associate with the devotees and we can associate with the Supreme Lord by remembering them, by coming here and building these sweet relationships. And by so doing, we become the best of brāhmaṇas. We become Vaishnavas, right? Devotees of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And in that sense, we become free from all material desires, material lust, craving to be, the enjoyer, the proprietor. And we remember our original constitutional position as servitors of the Supreme Lord. Okay. So thank you for listening. Thank you for coming. Thank you for tolerating me. Please forgive me if it was a little boring, or But if there are any corrections or any questions or anything like that. We have maybe a couple of minutes, and then they'll be serving Shri Shri Radha Gopinath's prasad. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay. So Ravi Shankar Prabhu has asked, do the four Kumāras, Sanak, Sanandan, Sanatan, and Sanat Kumar, born to Brahmaji, every time the secondary creation happens, do they also go back home like Brahmaji at the end? Are the four Kumāras actually posts as well, meaning different jivas take birth as Kumāras at each creation? I'm not so sure about this one. I haven't read that anywhere yet in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Like we saw with Daksha, that he comes again in a different cycle, like a different yuga cycle, to now be the main progenitor, so play a different role. And it's the same Daksha taking birth again. And if we look at like Narada Muni, I'm pretty sure he is eternal, so he's eternally in that position, even though he has his previous births. He comes again. So I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate. So yeah, maybe that's one to look up or ask someone more qualified. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Anymore.